Hello, friends. My name is Cynthia Peters. I'm the editor of The Change Agent, published by the New England Literacy Resource Center at World Education. And today I want to share with you something from our mental health issue, which has just been published in March of 2021. And as most of you know, The Change Agent is written almost entirely by adult learners. What we do is we put out a call for articles and students respond to the call, and the magazine is filled with really powerful and engaging stories written by learners for learners. For the mental health issue, we ended up with some wonderful strategies about how to sustain your mental health during tough times, or even just during normal times. And what these articles lent themselves to, in my view, was not just the engaging story written by the learner, but a little bit of an opportunity for students to engage further with the claims made in each of the articles and to look up a science-related article to find out if there's evidence to back up the student's claim. So for example, here's a student writing about how endorphins act like a natural remedy for her, and they boost her mental health. And then in the yellow box, you can see that I created a little sidebar asking the question, endorphins equals remedy? And then the answer is yes, there is scientific evidence that endorphins do make you feel better. They're a chemical that actually blocks pain messages and makes you feel happy. And there's a source at the bottom. And in the PDF, this source is clickable. So your students can go investigate that source, and you could have them think about, is this a reliable source? Is this a dependable source? Should I believe this source? You can look at the sources that source lists so they can find more evidence, or they can look elsewhere on the internet for more evidence about the claims being made about this particular remedy. I have about 10 of these. Here's one where, similar to endorphins, this woman talks about the power of a workout and how she noticed that when she works out, she actually has more energy rather than less energy. And so the question in the yellow box is, exercise boosts energy? And the answer is yes. And then there is a link to a scientific article backing up the claim that exercise boosts energy. Here's another one. In this article, she talks about how being with her family and having a lot of opportunities to laugh really make a difference for her. And so again, there's a question, laughter is medicine? And the answer is yes. And there's a link to a scientific article about how that works. So here's a few more. Here's one on the power of prayer and affirmation. She also mentions meditation. So the question there is, meditation heals? And again, a link to evidence about that. Here is a new immigrant talking about the stress of moving to a new country. And what worked for him was developing a routine. So here the question is, routine helps? The answer is yes. And what research shows in that direction. This learner shares a strategy that she uses called grounding. And it's something that she learned from her therapist. And so I point to information about that. This writer talks about what helped her when she was grieving the loss of her mom was connecting with others. Is there scientific evidence that being connected with others can actually help your grieving process? Yes, there is. Is that evidence believable? Is the source believable? You know, that is the edge that you can work along with your students. This writer talks about the stress at her workplace. And I think it's interesting to note that the direction of these strategies, so there's a little bit of an arc. They start out very individual, work on your own endorphin levels, work on your own use of exercise, develop a routine for yourself. And then they get a little bit more and more community-based, and here even workplace-based. So it turns out the workplace is a major source of stress for many people. And there's a yellow box here too, so that learners, your students, can go pursue this question further. Here's one about investigating the pressures on us. Not all of our mental health problems or challenges come from some internal issue. Some of them come from external pressures on us. And this writer talks about the pressure on her as a child to have the right clothes and to look a certain way, and that she got bullied for not having those things. And now her daughter is experiencing those things. And so just investigating the pressures of consumerism can help relieve a little bit of that feeling of that there's something wrong with you. And then finally, a prisoner writes about how he is very challenged to maintain his mental health in prison. And the yellow box there says that one of the challenges for society is to try to take care of everyone. Because if we set up our society so that everybody is well taken care of, then that improves everybody's mental health. And again, there is a link to a scientific article. That one is from the National Institute of Health. It's a .gov ending. And so you can send your students to check that out. You can think about internet sources and which ones are the ones to believe. Are .gov websites more believable than .com websites? That's a good question to ask. How about .edu websites or .org websites? What's the difference between these kinds of sources, and how can you think critically about them? If you have a subscription to the Change Agent, the mental health issue is right here under issues, and all of the articles are available to you with your online subscription. Notice that the table of contents is sortable by level, so you can find the level that is right for your students. If you don't have an online subscription, you can go to the subscribe tab. Note that it only costs $30 per teacher per year to subscribe, or $50 if you want to get a 2-year online subscription. Once you have a subscription, you can share your username and password with all of your students. So it's a very inexpensive way to access some really great content. My name again is Cynthia Peters. Thanks so much for taking this few minutes with me, and please be in touch if you have any questions. My email address is cpeters@worlded.org. Thank you.